Hey guys, welcome to episode 2 of PenpaPlus channel. Thank you for all the love and affection you have shown for this tool and the video. I promise you that I'll continue to work hard to improve this tool based on your feedback and use. Today I will be talking the first step you need to do when you hit this website or when you open this tool, which is again swaroopg92.github.io/penpa-edit. The link is provided in the description of this video. So the first thing we need to do is to set your puzzle board or set this canvas area. And I'm going to show you the options Penpa-edit provides and how to use them. So let's get started. So as you can see, you need to hit this new grid option, and then you have certain predefined board types which Penpa provides. I'll first show you Sudoku and then I'll show you Square, which can be used for other generic rectangular sized puzzles. So let's try Sudoku first. It is straightforward. As you can see, if you just select Sudoku and click reset, you will have the Sudoku grid. If you want diagonal lines for diagonal Sudokus, you can select those check marks and hit reset. And as you see, I have made it optional. So if there are some puzzles where authors like to create just have one diagonal, so you can have just one particular diagonal as well. Then the other options are skyscraper and little killer or frame Sudoku, where basically you need additional space outside the grid to enter your clues for the Sudoku. So you can select that check mark and again hit reset, and you will have this additional white space. Then the last option is sandwich Sudoku, which basically just needs clues on the left and top side. So you have the white space only on the top and left side. And as you have noticed, these are all multiple choice options. So you can have diagonal as well as sandwich together, and it will give you that. Pretty easy so far, right? Then you might have noticed this change grid button, which provides you again certain options. So display size is nothing but if you want to maximize the display of this area. There is other shortcut which you can just, zoom in and zoom out, or you can set the display size lower or higher based on your resolution and your requirement. For example, if I set to 50, and one thing to note here is when you make these changes, which are like grid properties kind of thing, you don't need to reset the entire grid. The reset button is to delete everything which is existing on the grid and put a new fresh start grid. But if you want to leave the elements as it is and just modify these properties, you can just hit change grid button. So if I do change grid, you can see the size increased because I increased the display size. If I reduce from 38 to 30, it will reduce the size. And I'll show you the difference between reset and let's reset and change grid. Let's enter some elements. Let's say I put some numbers, maybe draw some crazy lines. And now let's go back to our new grid option. So if I now change display size, and hit change grid. You can see all my elements which I have entered so far still stays there and it doesn't get erased. Then there is another option, grid, which is solid line. I'll show you what is dotted line. You can, oops, no, I don't want to do that. Change grid. So you can see it provides you the dotted line. And if you don't want this inner grid lines at all, so just set it to none and you'll have a white space. I will leave it solid. Then we have grid points, which is basically kind of visible when you have none option. So instead of edges, right, you just see the nodes, which grid points, yes. So there you go. Grid points are specifically useful for puzzle types like slitherlink or some other loop type of puzzles, which requires the user to draw edges. I'll cover in more details those kind of puzzle types and how to create or do those things later, but I just wanted to show you what these options do. And then the outside frame is basically this border. If in some cases you don't want this border, you can just set to no and you will not have the border. Great. So there are these options, basically provides more flexibility to the user or more control to the user to select or design the set this grid area. And now I'll show what happens when you click reset. Let me go back. I want solid line for Sudoku, no grid points and outside frame, yes. Let's change the display size back to 38 and I'll now hit reset and you will see what happens. Yep, you can see the grid, it's came back to the original fresh start of the grid. Everything else is erased. So please use with caution the reset. If you want to just change the display size or grid points, just hit change grid. And I have also added a safety check. So even if you accidentally click on reset, there will be a display pop-up where you need to select OK, confirm that you want to really reset it. So I'll just cancel it because I'm already reset. I'll remove sandwich, diagonal. I want the plain Sudoku grid. There you go. Now I'll show you what, let's say if you are not creating Sudoku but some other puzzle types, then you can just select board type square and you can see it provides you a bunch of different options. The bottom change grid option still remains same, so that's still similar, but now you have additional called rows, columns, white space. I believe size is pretty trivial to understand. So if you want 10 rows and 10 columns in your grid, you just select the 10, reset. So you have a 10 by 10 grid in your canvas area. So you can even have non-square, I guess rectangular shapes. So I have 7 rows, 10 columns, reset grid. You can have those shapes. I'll show you now what's the use of this white space and how it is helpful in some puzzle types. So if you have a puzzle which is 10 cross 10 size, let's actually start with a smaller size, easier to explain. So let's define 4 by 4 size. Okay, so yeah, now and I'll zoom in so you have better visibility. So you have 4 by 4 grid, and let's say you want to actually have a 4 by 4 grid but also want to have additional, like, let's change to circle surface. erase the lines. Yep, perfect. So let's say if you want to have additional row outside this grid, where you want to put some outside clues or something, it depends on your usage. So what you need to do is, so basically that means you need 4 by 4 your grid and then one additional row on top or one additional column on the right, left. So each additional row or column, you need to add that to your grid size. So what I mean by that is, so your grid size is 4 by 4, right? And let's say I just want one more row on top of on the top side here. So basically my number of rows are 5 and number of columns are 4, but the top row should not be the part of the grid. So I go here, I set my number of rows as 5, number of columns as 4, and I say white space over. So I want one row of white space on the top. Note that I have already accounted for this row in the overall grid size. Sorry, you need to do some simple math here, but this provides a much better control to the user. And then I hit reset. So you can see now there is a one row of white space. So I can do that. Let's say if I want one row on lower and one column on the right side. So I have added two rows, or I need two rows of white space, one on top, one on bottom, and the actual grid number of grid rows as 4. So my total number of rows is 6, 4 plus 1 plus 1, and number of columns is 4 plus the right side 1, which is 5. And then I hit reset. Yep, you can see there's a top column and bottom row. So that's how you can utilize this white space, and basically you can come up with the similar Sudoku style. Like say if you want the skyscraper or outside Sudoku with three columns outside, three columns of white space on each side and 3 rows of white space on top and bottom. Then your grid Sudoku grid is 9 rows, and then on either side you have 3 3, which is 6. So I have my total grid size as 15 by 15, and then I set my white space 3 on top, 3 under, 3 left, 3 on right. Hit reset, and you will have your grid with that much white space as you have set. So I hope it's clear now today how to set your grid for your puzzle or Sudoku, which is basically the first step you need to do on this tool. Thank you for watching this video. In the next videos, I will cover these different buttons and elements. And please don't forget to like and subscribe this channel. And as usual, I'm open to any suggestions. Feel free to send me an email at penpaplus@gmail.com or comment on this video. Till then, take care. Thank you.